Yo, what's up guys, it's your boy Sami here. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto had white Sharingan, part 1. Hope you'll enjoy this video. So before we start, please subscribe to our channel, and like this video. So let's get into the video. In a dark forest in the land of fire in the village of Konohagakure, we find a small boy with spiky blonde hair with black and red highlights in his hair. His eyes were midnight black, he wore a green pair of shorts, and a black shirt with a red spiral pattern on the back. He didn't have on a pair of shoes, and beneath his shirt was very little body fat, almost to the point that bones were showing the boy could be no older than 6, but no younger than 4. In front of the boy was a scene he was angry about. He saw a small pack of wolves surrounding a small black and white feline. It looked like about the size of a tiger cub. The cat had what looked like plating covering its body. The plating covered the front of his chest with spikes coming off it, the tip of which were red, its head excluding the ears and jaw, and finally the back legs joined with its body, were also covered and the plating was white, with red orange tribal markings going over it. The tip of the cub's tail was curled up, and red, its eyes were orange. And it had a pair of long incisors, long claws, and on the elbow joints on its legs were 3 white backwards facing spikes. The wolves circled around the cub, and were just about to pounce on it, when Naruto threw himself in front of the cub, unconsciously releasing Chakra. The boy waited for the pain of the incoming wolves, hoping that the cub would get away. However, his eyes snapped open when, after a moment where no pain was inflicted upon his person, the blonde saw that none of the wolves were attacking. He turned around, and grabbed the cub, and ran. "It's okay little fella, I'll keep you safe," said the boy. As he ran, he looked down, and saw that the cub was injured. After a second the wolves gave chase, but the boy was just a little bit faster, just enough to stay ahead of the wolves, and pull away over a long distance. "Alright, the fence is just up ahead," muttered the boy. As a large fence came into view, the boy quickly leaped from the ground into the low-hanging branches of the trees, and managed to jump clear over the fence, his bare foot just grazing the sign on the fence. As the boy sailed over the chain-link fence, the boy's blood from his previously bloody feet ran down the surface of the sign, not enough to obscure the text of "Forest of Death, keep out." "Alright, now we have to get to Hana-chan's place," muttered to himself, stopping for a moment to think of where he needed to go, and the safest way to get there. "I'll have to take the back alleys," muttered the blonde boy, taking off towards the nearby village, more specifically the maze of alleys that the boy knew like the back of his hands. The blonde dashed through the village, hiding in the back alleys looking for people. When he was forced to dash across the open streets, he was running through the back alleys of the market district, a civilian district. The civilians hated the blonde for a reason he was never quite sure of. He had never been specifically told what their problem, but from the insults they hurled at him whenever they saw him, he figured though that he was a demon of some sort. It hurt him, but not as much as it could. The blow was softened by the fact that it was only the civilians, and civilian-born ninja, the clan-born ninja excluding the Uchiha clan, were all fine with him. The blonde ran into the clan districts, one of the places in the village he was safe. The civilians would sometimes form mobs and attack the blonde, and the only places he was safe was in the Hokage's tower at the middle of the village, the red light district where he lived, and all of the thugs and whores treated him as family, and hence he did the same. And finally in the clan district of Konoha, where all of the clan compounds were. The blonde boy was currently on his way to one of the compounds. He was on his way to the Inuzuka compound to talk with his friend who was a vet. Hana knew what to do. He walked up to the gates of the Inuzuka compound where a ninja and a dog stood guard. "Hey kid, found another injured animal?" questioned the man, as he spotted the boy, who nodded at the question. The gate was then opened for the young blonde with the cub in his arms. "Hana's in the vet's office. I'm sure she'll be happy to see you," said the man. The young child walked into the compound and headed straight for the vet inside the compound. It took only a minute for the blind to reach the regular-looking building that was his destination. Walking inside, he saw the waiting room was all but empty. "Not really surprising given the time," muttered the black-eyed boy, looking over to the clock which read 9 o'clock p.m. Naruto-kun, spoke a voice drawing the blonde's attention, having just walked out of one of the rooms. "Hana-chan," said the young blonde, looking up to the teen Inuzuka heiress. Hana had long brown hair which she wore in a ponytail with 2 locks of hair framing her face over her large black eyes. She had the traditional fang-like tattoos of the Inuzuka clan on both of her cheeks, in addition to a tattoo on her upper right arm, that of a flower. She wore a beige Konoha medic uniform, a pair of form-fitting shorts cut just above the knee, bandages just below her tattoo, and wrist warmers. "So what's up, Naruto?" asked Hana, looking at the boy. "Oh right, I found this little guy in the Forest of Death being attacked by wolves," said Naruto, holding the little cub in his hands towards Hana. "Alright, let's see what we can do," said Hana, leading her little friend to one of the examination rooms. Once inside the room, Naruto put the cub down on the examination table, and Hana got to work examining the little animal, and healing what she could with the healing chakra of the Shimsen jutsu, Mr. Palm jutsu. After about 5 minutes she stopped her, and turned to Naruto. "Your little friend will be fine," Naruto said to Hana with a happy smile. Thanks to Hana-chan, Naruto scratched the cub behind his ear, making it purr. "Well, you should probably be off now, Naruto. You don't want to be out too late now, do you?" questioned Hana. Naruto nodded before hugging her. Thanks again, said Naruto before picking up the cup and walking out of the building. Naruto headed for his home in the red light district. 20 minutes later. Naruto walked into his apartment with the cup still in his arms. His home wasn't much, but it was home to him. His apartment was 3 rooms big, one being a combined kitchenette, dining room, and lounge room. The second of his rooms was a bedroom, and the last was a bathroom. The blonde boy put the cup on the floor next to him, while he went to get something to eat before heading to bed. As he walked away, the cup followed him quietly, roaring happily. The blonde boy walked into his kitchenette and walked over to his cupboard to get some ramen out when he heard a poof sound behind him, followed by some growling. The blonde turned around and saw a grown-up equivalent of the cup between his legs on all 4, ready to pounce on him and slash him to pieces. However, the cup between his feet walked forwards and purred around the larger animal's own legs. The animal looked down at the cub, who then began meowing. The larger animal stopped its growling at Naruto, before looking down at the cub, who then walked back over to Naruto and rubbed his head on the blonde boy's leg. Naruto, confused, leant down and patted the cub on the head. The larger animal walked over to the 2 of them, and then in a poof all 3 were gone from Naruto's apartment. Unknown location. Naruto and the 2 felines appeared in a plume of smoke and a poof. What the? Questioned Naruto, looking around. He saw he was no longer in his apartment. In fact, he didn't recognize where he was. But before Naruto could take in the beauty of the place, he felt a tugging on his pants. He looked down. And the feline cub he had found in the forest of death was tugging on his pants, and the larger feline was walking towards a large mountain. Naruto shrugged and followed the large feline with the cub bouncing along beside him. The 3 of them walked along the path up the mountain. About halfway up, there was a cave entrance in the mountain that the older feline led Naruto into. Naruto just followed. Walking inside, Naruto was shocked to see the inside of the cave was giant, easily being able to fit 2 of the Hokage monuments on top of each other inside, and still have room for the Hokage tower. However, what really caught his attention was the 6 creatures sitting on stone pedestals, with the exclusion of one that was in a pool of water. The first looked to be about 5'9" tall, the form of a person. However, she had bleach white skin from what little that was uncovered, as she covered almost all of her body with armor that was decorated with red tribal-like lines that looked similar to the plate-like things on the 2 felines Naruto had been with, who stood either side of him. And the woman wore what looked like a bird's skull of the same type of plating on her head. However, the eyes gave of an eerie red glow, and on her back is what appeared to be a scythe. The next creature was the one in the pool of water. It was quite simply a shark. The majority of its skin was black, the only exception being some more of the plating that was on the other creatures on its head, red tribal lines, and all. The plates, however, didn't cover the creature's bright orange eyes, and it was at least 10 times the size of the humanoid one. Next was a giant bird. It was pitch black, the only exception was once more the white plating with red tribal patterns, and the claws on the bird's feet, and the middle of its wings, all of which were white, and the pure orange eyes, and was 2 times the size of the shark one. Fourth was what appeared to be a bear with once more black fur, and white plates with red tribal lines covering them, and orange eyes. However, this creature had what looked like stones embedded in its skin all over, with several larger spikes on either side of the spine of the creature, and was just a bit bigger than the human one. After that was a giant black praying mantis with the white plates on its front appendages, and going from its head to the tip of its back, with red tribal lines running along it, and the orange eyes common among all of the creatures, and was at least 4 times the size of the bear. The last creature, however, was the scariest. It looked like a giant humanoid deer thing. It had the same body shape of a human, bipedal, arms, legs. However, the limbs were within themselves, 2 limbs connected at the elbows and knees, and joined once more at the clawed hands. And the hooves instead of feet. On the chest of the creature were 6 what looked like ribs, and for a head the creature had that of a psychopathic deer with sharp teeth, antlers, and all. This one had less plating than the others, but it was still there, on top of the head, the ribs. And on the knees, this creature was the largest, almost reaching the ceiling of the cave. Razor, Lastoria, why have you brought this human here? Bellowed the deer creature. The 2 felines bowed to the 6 creatures before the larger felines started roaring back. So this human saved you, Razor, and you brought him here hoping to convince us to let him be our first summoner? Questioned the humanoid girl in a borderline insane cackle. The little feline roared. You boy, what is your name? Questioned the mantis. Naruto Uzumaki, declared Naruto without a hint of fear, hoping to take them off guard. Well, what say you, Uzumaki? Do you wish to try and become the first summoner of the creatures of Grimm? Questioned the bear-like creature. Naruto tilted his head to the side before nodding. Yes, if you will allow me, I would be honored to summon you, said Naruto. Fine, but first you must pass the test, said the bird. Whatever this test is, I'll pass it for sure, declared Naruto boldly. All you must do is allow us to view your memories, and then we shall decide if you are worthy, said the shark, and despite the water Naruto could understand it completely, which is why he became scared. My memories? Questioned Naruto. Yes, it is the only way to decide on your character, declared the giant moose man. And if I refuse? Questioned Naruto. This confused the great creatures. What happened to the boy's confidence? You will be forever banished from this court, said the bird. Naruto lowered his head and thought he was half tempted to say no, and ran away. However, just before he could give an answer, the feline cub rubbed his head on Naruto's hand, making the blonde smile down at the creature. I'll take your test, and tell Naruto his confidence back once more. The humanoid creature jumped from her perch, and landed in front of Naruto before placing her hand on his forehead, before a second later removing it, as she fell back. Hey, are you okay? Asked Naruto, catching her, as she fell. How are you still sane? Questioned the woman. Cynthia, if you please, said the bear. The woman stood up fully, and walked into the center of the room where she knelt down on a seal. After placing her hands on the ground either side of her they glowed, as did the seal on the floor. All 5 of the great creatures took a deep breath. After a second their faces morphed into a look of shock mixed with loathing. Naruto Uzumaki, I believe I speak for the rest of the Grimm Council when I say I congratulate you. Our new summoner, spoke the big deer moose man thing, getting a nod from the other 5. Then after a second the seal where Cynthia had been glowed once more, and out of it floated a scroll. And what looked like a half mask made of the plate stuff. Just sign your name in blood on the scroll, and you will be our summoner. The mask is so you can understand the lesser Grimm, as only the members of the Grimm Council or the boss summons of each branch of our clans can actually speak to you directly, said the bear. Naruto ran through the streets of Konoha. He was running from a mob. It had been not even a full day since Naruto gained the summoning contract with the creatures of Grimm. He had the mask on his face, as he thought it was cool. And on his left arm was black tribal-like markings similar to those of the markings on the masks of the creatures of Grimm. Stop running, demon, yelled a member of the mob. Naruto of course didn't stop. He sped up, as much as he could. Slowly, but surely the mob behind him fell further, and further behind him. However, just as he was almost in the clear, out of nowhere a kunai sailed into his leg, making the blonde stumble, and took rolling forwards, making the kunai dig into his leg some more. And gave the mob time to catch up to him. Once he stopped rolling, Naruto sat up, and ripped the kunai out of his leg with a scream of pain, and threw the weapon away before jumping to his feet, where he almost crumpled to the ground due to the pain in his leg. With a great amount of effort Naruto managed to hobble his way forwards, but the mob was closing in fast. The blonde tried his best to move, but he knew the mob would catch him, and just like that a hand grabbed him by the back of the shirt, and yanked him backwards. Not so tough are you now, demon? Questioned the man who had Naruto in a tight grip before throwing the blonde into a wall. Ow, screamed Naruto, as he hit the wall, his wounded leg hitting the edge of a brick making Naruto fall to the ground, and like that the rest of the mob launched into a flurry of attacks, everyone in the 30-strong mob getting a kick, punch, stab or other attacking. This is for my son, monster, declared a brute of a man coming up with a lead pipe to slam down on the blonde. Naruto brought his blood-covered left arm up to defend from the attack, subconsciously pushing chakra into the limb to strengthen it, and closing his eyes waiting for the pain. However, the pain never came. Naruto's eyes opened, and in front of him was a black and white creature. Sorry, exclaimed Naruto happily, but breathlessly at the creature, as she stood protectively in front of her summoner with her tail flicking back and forth growling at the mob. The demon called back up, kill them both, exclaimed a man at the back of the crowd, getting a chorus of yes before the mob once more tried to descend on the blonde, and his summon, the boy having already succumbed to the call of unconsciousness, was protected by the creature of Grimm. 5 minutes later. Running down the street flanked by 2 Anbu was Hiruzen Tsurutobi. He had heard Naruto scream in pain, and had come rushing from his office, and was immediately joined by the pair of Anbu Nico and Inu. The Sandaime Hokage had Enma in his staff form. As he ran, he had sensed Naruto's chakra drastically drop, and got Inu and Nico, and came running. As the 3 people rounded a corner they came across a disturbing sight, Naruto laying sprawled out next to a building covered in blood, but in front of the blonde was a black feline-like creature, and around the 2 of them blood and limbs were scattered everywhere. The group of the village leader, and 2 of his most loyal Anbu approached the 2, but the second the creature spotted them it jumped to its feet, and looking ready to pounce, it growled at them. What is it? Questioned Nico, never having seen a creature like it before. I'm not sure, said Inu, examining the creature with his gifted Sharingan. It's called a razorback. She's a summon of the creatures of Grimm clan, said the staff in Hiruzen's hand. A summon? Asked Tsurutobi, looking at the creature. Whose? Questioned the elderly Cage, looking around. I'm not entirely sure, but from the looks of it, she may be Naruto's summoner who spoke to the Monkey King. Are you protecting Naruto? Questioned Hiruzen, looking at the creature trying to calm it down. We're here to help Naruto, but if you don't move we can't help him, said Hiruzen, lowering his staff, as a show of non-aggression, the Grimm growling even louder at the 3 of them. Groaned Naruto, his eyes opening just a bit. Sorry, it's okay, these people are okay, said Naruto. With that the razorback backed down, and let the 3 people pick up her master, but she followed them. As they took him to the hospital, once there they went straight into the room that was set aside for any Jinchuriki. Having many seals on the inside, and out to stop people breaking in, and attacking the Jinchuriki while also suppressing the Biju Chakra, Naruto was laid on the bed, as a doctor healed the wound in his leg with the razorback watching them intently, not letting anyone, but the 2 Anbu. The Hokage, and the one doctor near Naruto. While the doctor was working on Naruto, Nico stood in the hallway with the Hokage. "No more Hokage-sama," declared Nico. "I'm not sure I know," said Hiruzen. "You know damn well what I mean, Hiruzen. If you're not going to let me adopt him, at least let me train him," declared Yugao, interrupting the aged Hokage. "It would be unfair on the other Kai," began Hiruzen. "No, it fucking wouldn't. It's unfair on Naruto. All of the children in the academy have someone in the family with either ninja training or contacts with a ninja who owes them a favor that can be used to train them. Naruto has nothing. I don't care anymore about taking him in, just let me help him please," begged the purple-haired Anbu operative. "Alright Yugao, starting tomorrow you can train Naruto," said Hiruzen. "And I want to tell him about Kushina-sensei," said the now identified Yugao. "No," replied Hiruzen flatly. "You may think that by not telling him about her you're protecting him, but we both know that's not true. Yes, she had enemies, but if you were to tell Naruto not to tell anyone about her being his mother, he wouldn't say a word, and second of all, Kiri is in a civil war right now. And it's very unlikely they have ninja to spare to send to assassinate the son of Kushina, and by telling Naruto about her, he doesn't have to go through life, wondering if his mother abandoned him. Yes, Kushina-sensei may never wake. But wouldn't you want to meet your mother if you were in his shoes," declared Yugao. Here's inside she had brought up many good points, and counters to all of his worries. "Fine, but he has to be up to speed by the time he enters the academy, or I will assign someone else to his training," said Hiruzen. Yugao nodded. The time allotted would be plenty to get Naruto up to snuff. Several hours later, the two people walked into Naruto's room only to see him sitting on his bed with a mirror in hand, canceling chakra to his eyes, then stopping, and then doing it again, giggling to himself the whole time. Looking at his eyes, the two ninja realized why. Yugao's change of plans got Mikoto, declaring Hiruzen walking out of the room once more, Yugao following before shunshining out. 5 minutes later, walking into the hospital, Mikoto spotted Hiruzen passing back and forth. "You asked for Hokage-sama?" questioned Mikoto, walking up to the aged leader. "Oh Mikoto, yes, earlier this evening I was convinced by one of my Anbu to allow her to train young Naruto, and at the same time reveal the information about Kushina to him," declared the aged man. "And you called me here because you want me to train him?" asked Mikoto, hopeful. "Yes, I know. Originally the plan was only for Yugao to train him. However, after a revelation I have decided your expertise will be needed," said Hiruzen. "What was the revelation?" asked Mikoto. "You wouldn't believe me if I told you, so instead I will show you, and then you and Yugao can tell Naruto about the training," and his mother said to Hiruzen, walking down the corridor to Naruto's room. Within a minute, Mikoto and Hiruzen were at Naruto's door, Yugao following closely behind the two. Hiruzen opened the door and walked in, Mikoto following closely behind, and as Mikoto walked into the room, her jaw dropped when she saw what Naruto was doing. His eyes kept going from their regular midnight black to blood red, with a pair of tomo in them. "I'll leave you two too," said Hiruzen, leaving the room. Naruto, said Yugao softly, making the boy look up with his Sharingan still active. "Who are you two?" asked Naruto, looking at the purple-haired maskless Anbu operative who seemed familiar to him, and the charcoal-haired housewife. "Roar roar roar roar," roared Naruto's summon, who was still sitting on his bed. Naruto looked at Lassoria, before realizing he didn't have his mask, so he couldn't understand her. Naruto quickly looked around the room for his mask. Finding it on his bedside, he quickly replaced it. "Say again, Lassoria," said Naruto. "The purple-haired one is one of the two masked people you said was okay. I'm not sure about the other one," who said the creature, translated only to Naruto. The blonde boy turned back to the two women, one of whom was still in shock, the other was looking a little nervous. "Nico ni?" questioned Naruto, squinting behind his mask, looking at Yugao. "Yes, although without my mask you can call me Yugao," said Yugao, getting a nod from Naruto. "Allow me to introduce myself to Naruto. My name is Mikoto Uchiha," said Mikoto. Naruto nodded, unsure of the woman. "And I was your mother's best friend and teammate," said Mikoto, making Naruto's eyes go white behind his mask. "You knew my mother?" questioned Naruto. Mikoto nodded to the boy. "Who was she? Did she love me? Where is she now?" asked Naruto in quick succession. "Before we tell you about Naruto, we need to tell you about a deal made between us and the Hokage," said Yugao. Naruto looked at her for a moment. "We are going to train you as a ninja and tell you what we know of your mother, but in return we need you to work very hard on the skills we teach you. And you can't tell anyone who your mother is. The reason you haven't been told about her before is she had enemies strong enough that they would send hundreds of ninja after you, just because of what she did," said Yugao. Naruto nodded. "I accept those terms now, please." My mother, began Naruto. "Her name is Kushina Uzumaki, and she loves you more than life itself, but she is, well, it would be easier to show you," said Mikoto, her words taking a sad turn towards the end. This got Naruto scared, but nonetheless he got out of his bed and followed Mikoto, who left the room. As Naruto left the room, Lassoria disappeared in a cloud of smoke. Mikoto walked down the halls of the hospital with Naruto and Yugao following to the comatose ward. After a minute of walking through the halls, Mikoto stopped and opened the door to a room before walking, followed by Naruto and Yugao. Naruto was shocked to see a beautiful red-haired woman on the bed. Her eyes were shut, and she was lying on a bed. This Naruto is your mother Kushina. She's been in a comatose state since the night of the Kyuubi attack. The doctors have tried everything to revive her, as she is one of this village's best kunoichi, but nothing has worked, said Mikoto. Naruto stiffly walked up to the bed and looked down at the woman on the white hospital bed. Hokage-sama, aside from the reasons her enemies didn't want to tell you about her to get your hopes up for naught, the doctors say it's very unlikely she will ever wake again, said Mikoto. Both women watched from behind Naruto as he reached out and gently grasped her hand. Both Mikoto and Yugao caught sight of a single tear falling from Naruto's face. Ka-chan whispered to Naruto, looking at the woman's face, smiling. I finally know who she is, thought Naruto happily. A few hours after Naruto finally met his mother for the first time, he stood with Yugao and Mikoto in a random training ground. Well, Naruto, first things first, do you know how to use your chakra? Asked Mikoto. I have unlocked my chakra, if that's what you mean, said Naruto. Mikoto shook her head. Do you know how to channel chakra? Asked Mikoto, smiling at the young Uzumaki, who was just short of buzzing with anticipation. No, Jiji said he would teach me some basic stuff next time I saw him, said Naruto. Okay, so now we know we're starting from essentially scratch, declared Yugao with a sigh. I'm sorry, said Naruto, looking down, sad and fearing he had disappointed his sensei. No Naruto, you don't have to be sorry, I just realized how long the road ahead of us is, said Yugao. Oh, okay Ni-chan, declared Naruto with a smile. Alright, well, let's start with hand signs, stating Mikoto, clapping her hands. An hour later. It took a whole 10 minutes for Naruto to get the hand signs right, and then another 40 minutes to get to the stage where it took less than half a minute to go through all 12 of them, before spending another 10 minutes practicing at that speed, which for this point in time was good enough. Right, Naruto, that will work for now, declared Yugao, calling the blonde over. Naruto walked up to his two sensei, who both wore smiles. Alright Naruto, the first thing you are going to do is this, said Mikoto, pulling a leaf of a nearby tree, and placing it on her head between her eyes where it was stuck in place. Whoa, that's so cool, said Naruto, looking at the leaf. Alright Naruto, to do this exercise you'll need to put your hands into the ram hand sign, and then take the warm feeling from your tummy up to the leaf, said Yugao, handing Naruto a leaf. Lean your head back, and put the leaf on your forehead, stated Mikoto. Naruto nodded, and leaned his head back, and placed the leaf on his forehead before putting his hands into the correct sign, before willing his chakra from his navel to his forehead, hoping the leaf would stick. But once the young Uzumaki's chakra reached his forehead, the leaf was blown off of his head. The young blonde looked at the leaf in shock before looking down in sadness. Hey, it's okay Naruto, no one gets it on their first try. You just used too much chakra, said Mikoto in a caring tone. Just keep at it, Naruto, I'm sure you'll get it, said Yugao. About 2 hours later. Alright Naruto, that's enough, said Yugao, stopping Naruto from putting the leaf back on his head. But it's still getting blown off, said Naruto. Well, getting it to stay there for half a minute after only 2 hours working on the exercise is amazing, but we have another couple of things to work on today, said Yugao. Oh, okay, said Naruto. That doesn't mean stop practicing this exercise, just don't worry about it for now, said Mikoto, getting a nod from the woman beside her. Okay, so what's next? Asked Naruto. We're going to show you how to throw a kunai, said Mikoto with a grin on her face, flicking her hands out to the side where said weapons appeared between her fingers, making Naruto jump. Mikoto and Yugao both giggled at Naruto's reaction, and the young boy had to admit to himself it was one of the most melodious things he had ever heard. Mikoto then stopped her giggling, and got back on track, flicking the kunai in her hands up, and catching all bar one by the bladed end, she held them out to Naruto. Here, I'll show you, and you try your best to do as I do, okay, said Mikoto. Naruto nodded. Mikoto threw the kunai at the target. Naruto watched her movement, which she slowed down for Naruto's sake. After the blade left Mikoto's hand, it sailed into the dead center of the target. Naruto quickly stepped forwards, taking aim at one of the targets, and following Mikoto's actions, as closely as he could, he threw the weapon towards the target. The kunai became lodged just inside the outermost ring of the target. Naruto's head sunk. It's okay Naruto, no one was expecting you to hit dead center. That would have been almost unbelievable. Actually hitting the target is quite good for someone your age, said Mikoto. At this, Naruto's head perked up again to look once more at his two smiling sensei. Keep going Naruto, you'll get it in no time. Yugao with a reassuring smile sent the blonde's way. Naruto nodded, and once more threw the kunai at the target. It got in the same ring. An hour and a half later. Once more Naruto was instructed to stop his exercise. Naruto collected the kunai one last time, and gave them back to Mikoto. Alright Naruto, one more thing, and then you can go home for today, but tomorrow we want to see you here bright and early, said Yugao. Yes Yugao-sensei, said Naruto with a salute, making both women giggle at his antics. Alright Naruto, 5 laps around the training ground, said Mikoto. Naruto's jaw dropped. You're joking, you have to be joking, right? Questioned the blonde. Did I stutter? Get going, you get a complimentary course on dodging, said Mikoto with a sadistic smirk on her face, as more kunai appeared in her hands, and with that Naruto was gone, leaving a roughly Naruto-shaped cloud of dust in his place. 2 hours later. Naruto stumbled through his door about half an hour after the sunset. He was going to make himself something to eat, but he felt too tired to do so, so the blonde trudged to bed and fell onto his thin mattress, and, as soon as he hit the mattress he was out like a light. 3 weeks later. Naruto's life had been one of routine for the last 3 weeks. Wake up, morning rituals, to the training grounds where one or both of his sensei would be waiting, hand sign practice for an hour, leaf balancing exercise, kunai practice. Then they'd break for lunch, which Naruto would get his food, then go to the hospital and spend an hour with his mother, telling her what he'd been doing, before going back to the training ground for some basic skills lessons like reading and writing before his sensei got him running around like a madman until dark, when he dragged himself home, ate something, and collapsed on his bed, but the results were showing. In the 3 weeks Naruto had lowered the time it took for his hand signs to 10 seconds to go through all 12 of them, up the time for the leaf to about 5 minutes at a time before his attention became wobbly. And the leaf blew off faster than he did in his running, because he had learned the hard way. Mikoto had been serious about giving him a complimentary lesson on dodging on the second day, when he went too slow for her standards. So when Naruto got to the training ground this morning he was expecting to start with hand signs. "Good morning Naruto," said Mikoto, as she spotted him walking up. "Morning Mikoto-sensei." "Yuga-sensei," said Naruto, nodding to his two sensei, as he walked up. "So more hand sign practice today?" asked Naruto, not really expecting a different answer. "No, we're stopping the hand sign practice today, but instead there is something we are going to start," said Yuga. "Really, what?" asked Naruto. "Before we start we need you to pump chakra into this, okay Naruto?" asked Mikoto to hand Naruto what looked like an ordinary scrap of paper. Naruto took it in, and looked it over before shrugging, and doing as instructed. Naruto concentrated chakra on the paper. And to his shock the paper split into 3 even pieces. The one section on the left wrinkled and curled in on itself, and just as Naruto was about to ask what the hell was going on, the next 2 bits reacted, the one in the center bursting into flames and burning to ashes in no time at all. And the third getting sopping wet. However, once more after a second break a third set of reactions went off. The crinkled third got sopping wet, turning into what looked like a storm cloud, and then the wet piece burst into water-lodged confetti. Naruto waited a good 10 seconds before he spoke, which gave his sensei time to pick their jaws up off the floor. "What was that?" asked a very confused Naruto. "That was chakra paper. It reacts in various ways depending on the user's chakra nature," said Mikoto, still in awe of what she saw. "And?" questioned Naruto, looking down at the bits of paper. "Well, it splits for Futen, crinkles for Raiden, burns for Kaiten, soaks for Suiten, and crumbles to dust for Doten. I have no idea what the crinkling then soaking or the soaking then splitting means, Mikoto," said Yugao before turning to the Uchiha for her input on the situation. "I know what the other 2 are, but I'm not sure I believe it," said Mikoto, looking at the bits of paper in Naruto's hand. What is it?" asked Naruto, looking scared. "Kushina once told me about a Kekkei Genkai of the Uzumaki clan, seen once in a century, the Arashi, Stormborn. It was said the users of this Kekkei Genkai created the whirlpools Uzashiyagakure was famous for. They were also said to be able to summon storms and gales at the snap of their fingers," said Mikoto. "So I have this Arashi Kekkei Genkai?" questioned Naruto. "From what Kushina told me, yes, I can only assume yes," said Mikoto. "Awesome," yelled Naruto, as he started jumping around happily. The 2 older ninjas smiled at the boy's enthusiasm, but Mikoto had to interrupt the boy, as she had some teaching to do. "Alright, Naruto, calm down," said Mikoto, making the boy stop, and turn to her. "That's not why I was testing your chakra, but it is good to know. But for now I want to show you that that is a rite of passage for any young Uchiha, and given that you have the Sharingan you have to be related to an Uchiha," said Mikoto. "Sharin what?" questioned Naruto. "Remember from the hospital when you were able to make your eyes red?" asked Mikoto. "You mean like this?" questioned Naruto, concentrating chakra on his eyes, making them go from charcoal black to blood red, with a pair of tomo in them. "Yes, that's what I mean. Those eyes are another Kekkei Genkai. They're the Sharingan of the Uchiha clan anyway. There is a taught to all young Uchiha, before they can wear the symbol of our clan, and generally before they unlock their Sharingan," said Mikoto. Naruto nodded. "Alright, watch closely Naruto," said Mikoto, as she started flipping through hand signs. "Kaiten Kakik no Jutsu, Fire Style Fireball Jutsu," called Mikoto, bringing her fingers in the shape of a ring to her mouth, before spewing out a ball of fire that flew out towards a rock wall where it exploded on contact. She turned to Naruto, who was looking on in awe. "The trick with this jutsu is it's a fire jutsu, so you need to convert chakra in your lungs to flames, and then breathe them out with the rest of your breath. So just imagine the air in your lungs heating up, then you breathe it all out," said Mikoto. Naruto nodded to the instructions and then got to work. It was the first jutsu he had been taught, so he was going to work hard on it, and with a flurry of hand signs, Naruto began his jutsu training. Thanks for watching my video. Leave a like if you enjoyed my video, and also do consider subscribing to my channel for more awesome content. See you next time. Till then, sayonara.